Hello, this is just an update from my last video. Um, I've been sending this out to Facebook pages as well as a plea um, to try to get some people to know about Troy Davis's case. He is the man on death row that's scheduled to die on Wednesday, and there's a lot of evidence that he didn't do it. Recanted testimony, no murder weapon. One of the main witnesses confessed to killing the guy. So I was leaving this on as many pro-life websites as I can find, and I didn't get a response. So I actually called the Georgia chapter of Right to Life, and they said, we do not have a policy on the death penalty. We don't take a stand on the death penalty. And I said, don't you care that this is an innocent man that might be put to death? And she said, yes, I care personally, but we don't have a stand against the death penalty. Now, I can understand if you're kind of like me. I think the death penalty is okay if there's an ironclad case, no benefit of a doubt. The judge, William Moore, who saw the appeal, said, well, it's not an ironclad case, but the evidence didn't meet the expectations for a new trial. If it adds a little bit of doubt, there should be a new trial. We're talking about a person's life here. So I called Georgia Right to Life, and it was very frustrating. So I'm here. If people in Georgia or people in the nation, Georgia chapter is no longer the chapter of Right to Life. It's Georgia Anti-Abortion Alliance. There are anti-abortion alliances all over the nation. And there's also a national anti-abortion alliance that has the many chapters. I refuse to call them pro-life. I refuse. They're not speaking up against the fact that 45,000 people die a year from preventable diseases because they don't have health insurance. They don't speak up against infant mortality. They don't speak up about AIDS and malaria and TB, although Trent Franks has had a turnaround on that, and I am grateful for it, and God bless Representative Franks. But they're not pro-life. I mean, they like to say we're pro-life to conception and natural death. But they should say, I'm pro-life at conception and natural death. But in between, we really don't care. We don't want abortion, and we don't want euthanasia. But if people die unnecessarily in between, we wash our hands of it. I mean, I am pro-life. I believe abortion on demand is one of the most immoral stains on our country, as well as the amount of poverty and the income inequality gap that we have. Both are equally bad, I believe. They're both come from selfishness. And I'm not talking about women who are raped and are so despondent they'd rather kill themselves than take the baby to term. Or when carrying a baby to term might kill the mother. Or if the baby has a disease or a disorder that would give him like maybe 3 weeks to a month tops in excruciating pain. But everything else, I believe, it's selfish. I mean, you can't pay for adopt. Take the baby to term. I'm sure that there are families that will help you. But to snuff out a life, I don't like that. And I'm pro-life. But I'm not a hypocrite. I am pro-life. I'm anti-unjust wars. I was anti the war in Iraq, which cost many people their lives, including women and children. I'm against the way the death penalty is implemented. Euthanasia is a very touchy thing for me. When people are in abject pain and misery, and it might be the merciful thing to do to let that person die. And people say, we can't play God, but medicine is playing God all the time. So euthanasia is the only pro-life issue that I'm still wrapping my head around. I mean, I have to say I like euthanasia. I like Japanese kids, I like Chinese kids, I like Vietnamese kids. I'm a really big fan of euthanasia. Sorry, I just need to lighten up the mood. But back to my original point. If you're pro-life, truly pro-life, call your local chapter. Ask them to intervene on in the case of Troy Davis. Ask them to look at their policy of the death penalty. And if they say, we don't have a stand on the death penalty, I'll say you should. You should have a stand on the death penalty. I mean, you can say for the monsters, for the sociopaths, for the monster who killed Polly Klaas, but not for Troy Davis. Not for someone who has such shadow of doubt that he did it. I mean, I forget her name. She's Abby something. She's on Facebook, pro-life advocate, and she was the only one who commented on me back when I left that and said that she's praying and she's going to contact Georgia. She's pro-life. But I'd say 70% maybe of people who claim to be pro-life are not. They're just anti-abortion. And I don't think you have a right to speak out against abortion when you're not pro-life in the other areas. Because when you open your mouth, when you open your selfish mouth, the abortion advocates will use that disconnect. Rick Perry, Michelle Bachmann, their voting record that might kill people. Voting against infant mortality programs, voting against funding AIDS, malaria, voting against getting poor kids on life insurance. And they're the ones who are loudest against abortion. Well, Rick Perry, Michelle Bachmann, shut your mouth. I'm sorry to be harsh, but for those who are fighting the good fight against abortion, you're working for the enemy. You give ammunition to the supporters of abortion on demand. Rick Perry, Michelle Bachmann, if you're watching, and the supporters who are watching, stop being just anti-abortion and start being pro-life. God bless you.